Tonight, an exceptional film will be at the Towers, Tower 1, Tower East in New Haven. It's touching, it's poignant, it's funny, very funny. It's The Age of Love. It's a film by Stephen Loring, and it's about, well, let's hear about it. Speed dating in Rochester, New York. And joining us this morning is Stephen Loring at WQUN. Great to have you here. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Ray. It's my pleasure.
You know, I can't imagine 70, 80, 90-year-old person speed dating. It just doesn't sound like that would be an event you'd naturally call to mind as somebody who's an octogenarian or a nonagenarian, but somehow you filmed all of this and put in this great film.
Well, I think it's a concept whose time is certainly coming. The world is changing in so many ways demographically. It's when I was growing up, I know my grandparents were in their 60s and they were old and, retiring and looking for, a few activities to do in the years they had remaining, whereas today, people 70s, 80s, 90s, even 100 and beyond are out living and growing and experiencing things in a whole new way. And as long as you're alive, people want to grow, and growth means connection. It means emotional connection. And so, it just makes sense, I think, that we're starting to get rid of some of those stereotypes and address aging as it is in this millennium, which is a lot different.
Yeah. Now, you're a longtime screenwriter. I mean, you've been, your work has been on NBC, CBS, Lifetime, and I know you're not a documentarian. You're not a documentary filmmaker necessarily, but this sort of does take on the sense that it is somewhat like a documentary.
Well, it's totally a documentary. I worked in Hollywood in the heyday of the network TV movies, Tuesday night at the movies, ABC, Sunday night at the movies. Uh-huh. And there were a lot of stories that were important, social stories that were important, but suddenly reality TV came in and the movie form, that genre kind of died out. So, my interest was in social issues, and I went back to film school thinking that maybe it was time to, getting older myself, time to make my own stories and to look at the things that are important in my life. So this is a documentary film. It's a real event. 30 people from 70 to 90 years old signed up to go speed dating without any knowledge that there was a movie planned. So, that was an interesting story in itself, how I got permission to film it. But, it really is, it's a personal story to me because of how it came about. What happened is my dad passed away. My mom was 70. And she said to me one day, like, who's ever going to hug me again? Is that it in life? That, people spend their whole lives in a relationship and connected, and suddenly one day it's over, and you're looking ahead to being, my mom said, now I'm, just another old lady in the world. And, you don't think about that. And I thought, well, I have these screenwriting skills. I'm going to documentary film school. Maybe this is a topic that I can bring my own passions to, since my own family it brought it up, and take a journey of my own in life.
And it's so poignant the way you just described that. And it's 70, 75 years old. Will I be hugged again? Will I be loved again? And will I have intimacy? Will I be able to share my fears, my thoughts? And
exactly.
We always think that people are not are on guard when they're older. Probably I would imagine from your film we take a different attack. We find out that maybe they're a little bit more honest about their feelings.
Well, it's true. One thing I heard, I think, from every single person I spoke to who's in the film was, I may be 78 years old, but I'm 20 inside. There's no feeling of being beyond that, or being, in a state of life where you don't want to be who you've always been anymore, just because your hair is gray or your skin is wrinkled. Inside, you're still the same person when you wake up every morning with the same hopes and dreams that you had every other day of your life. And I think the attitude that age is to be feared, and everything in our world is anti-aging now. It's like when you get older, you're undesirable in so many ways that makes us kind of shun the embracing what the wisdom that comes with aging brings. I mean, there was one gentleman who I interviewed who said to me that love is much more meaningful and intense now that he's in his 70s. He said, when I was a kid, you want to project the look of being perfect, invulnerable. You want to look like you're the best looking, and you have the best lines, and you go out there and you're hiding yourself from the person that you want to get to know, which is counterproductive. He said, I'm older now, and everybody has the same fears about life, and we're not afraid to expose and express ourselves in terms of what we really feel and who we really are. And so when you can talk about your fears of life and your vulnerabilities, he said, love is a lot deeper now because it's more real. It's about who we really are. It's about seeing who we really are. It's not just about, the good-looking guy or the fast car or the rich lifestyle anymore.
You look at all the awards your film has managed to take for all the work you've done. It must be gratifying to know that the reviews are they're saying it's sort of groundbreaking. I mean, that's a quote from one
right.
review, a groundbreaking film. You've entered into new territory with this, Steve Loring.
Yeah, I think being, like I say, middle-aged myself, and having had the experience of being in Hollywood and doing the glamour thing, this was going to be a project I wanted to take out in the world kind of on my own terms. So one thing that I set up was that so many communities screened the film and said, well, that's great, all these people going speed dating, but what does it mean to us? So I created a speed dating kit for seniors that is provided to all the different communities that screen the film. And we've had about 167 communities across North America now who have done a speed dating event. And it's so rewarding to me to think that it's not just a movie, but it's kind of a movement. And in fact, I just was talking to a couple in Virginia. They just got married. They met. They went to see the movie, and they signed in Northern Virginia, signed up for the speed dating event, and now they're married. And it's a whole new beginning to their life. Just because, it's funny. Like, it began with my mom being widowed, but it brought love back into the world somehow, and that's incredibly rewarding for a filmmaker, for sure.
Well, and it must be a great feeling of gratification to know that as you worked hard on something like this, it had other benefits. It got the conversation going. I'm sure that the notes you've received, anecdotally, the emails, the calls, people coming up to you and say, thank you for doing this. I'm sure that it's been very touching for you.
Well, the fun thing is that the first thought people have is, well, it's a movie for old people to go see. And it's very empowering for older people to see, because it's like, well, I feel this way too, but I've never heard these voices before. I've never heard older people speak about their emotions so openly. And so that makes me feel like I could do it too. But it's the baby boomers, the people 40s, 50s, who come and watch and say, my mom or my dad has been alone for 10 years, and I've never really asked them, are they lonely? What are they feeling emotionally inside? And I want to go home and give them a call. And we've even screened in high schools with 17-year-olds or 16-year-olds together with older adults from like senior communities or senior centers in the neighborhood. And the kids will say, like, I'll never look at my grandmother the same way again, because they realize that inside their insecurities and hopes are exactly the same as they see on screen by these people who are 80. And it's really eye-opening. And I think that's the real reward for me, is to not just make a film, but to open people's eyes that will help get rid of those stereotypes and those assumptions that society is burdened with today.
Yeah. Well, we don't want to talk about all 30 of the people who are featured in your film, but I'm sure there are one or two that, in recalling who's on screen, would probably stand out. And I'm curious what you learned from a handful of those people who really left an indelible impression on you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I love them all, I have to say. I never imagined that all of these people would open up their hearts so completely to a stranger with a film camera. It wasn't. I honestly, I didn't think it would even ever happen. And the fact that they were willing to was really. I mean, they put their trust in me. Was so amazing. One gentleman I probably should mention. I would be remiss if I didn't. He has 24-hour oxygen tank he carries. He has a hearing aid. He has a cane. And when I first met him, I thought, like, oh my God, like he's going speed. I mean, I had the same stereotypes everybody else would. I thought, how can he go speed dating? You know, who's gonna go out with him? Who will he hook up with? He was so convinced. He told me this great story. You'll see it in the movie about his dream of going out and sharing the sunset on a beach with a woman, and that it's going to happen. He had so much confidence that it was going to happen. And I don't want to give away what happens in the film, but you know, he makes it happen, and he really opened my eyes to the idea that, you know, we just look at age and we just fall back into assumptions that aren't correct at all. And the passion to connect and to find love and to find just somebody to share his time with was so strong. It was an inspiration to me, and I've you know, everybody is great, but you know, this guy was really went above and beyond.
So further evidence that a nice sunset and a bottle of wine at any age is a mark of beauty.
For sure.
Yeah. Well,
yes.
Thank you for making this film tonight, folks. We want you to come out. The Age of Love is going to be at the Towers, Tower 1, Tower East. It is part of the JCC's Beckerman Jewish Film Series that's been ongoing. The JCC of Greater New Haven, Jewish Federation of Greater New Haven, are helping to sponsor this. You can RSVP. A few seats left, not many, so call now to Diane if you can at 203-772-1816 and the Towers website, or just go to JCC's website, jewishnewhaven.org, and learn a little bit about it tonight. 7 o'clock at the Towers in New Haven. Steve Loring, thank you so much for making this film, and I know that a lot of people who are coming out tonight are going to feel the same way when they see it.
Thanks, and I'll be there, and I'm looking forward to meeting everybody, so please do come out, sure.
We are looking forward to seeing you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.